Now, there's a question about the recent coronavirus effect to the market. Um, well, why don't I actually take you to have a look, right? How the market actually reacts. Now, this is the news portal that I use to actually check. It's just one of the news portals that I actually use. Yeah, there are of course CNBC.com or anything at all, any major news portals that you can actually check, especially focused more on business or economy. Yeah, so I just want to have a real quick look about what potential opening tonight's market will be, right? So normally we look at the futures. Now futures is actually it's actually futures trading, so it's actually futures price. It's similar to options where people actually bet on futures, days later or weeks later, how the market is going to be reacting based on today, right? So if you look at the futures today, it's good indication about what the market is right now, right? Pre-market. So as you can see. The futures of S&P 500 is actually raising, right? It's actually up by close to 0.5%, and Nasdaq is up close to more than 0.5%, and Dow Jones is actually 0.4, right? So it simply means that, and take a look at last Friday, right? Last Friday was a bad close because it was quite a sell-off last Friday, right? But if you look at the actual chart, no, we haven't actually gone into this part yet. So part 3, we're going to talk about charting, right? But since there's a question about this, and we are not starting yet, so let me just show you real quick what the market actually looks like right now. So last Friday was a sell-off, as I said. It was actually quite bad. But remember, this is actually more of a fear that coronavirus is actually bigger than everyone thinks, right? So as you know, in the market there are a lot more, retail traders than or casual traders like us, or anybody else, or people who just go on to trade non-professionally, right? So there are a lot of retail traders than actual big fund managers. I mean, in number, right? So if you look at it, last Friday, right? Last Friday was a bad close. Now this is S&P 500, right? It was actually quite a bad close. But if you look at it, I mean, the trend hasn't been broken, right? So it's not that the trend is really bad yet, right? I will probably say, if 320 is actually broken, right? If after tonight, if the market, or S&P 500 is actually closed below 320, I would probably say that that potentially there's going to be a continued sell-off, right? But as you can see from the chart, it's kind of like a one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down, right? So it's like, okay, it's actually, yeah, it's a big drop. This one, right? It's a sell-off. I think when things were really not looking that well from a coronavirus perspective, I think that was a kind of like a market scare. Then you actually ramp up for 2 days, right? Then you have a slight sell-off again. Then you actually ramp up, and this is actually quite, this is actually a bit bullish. I mean, frankly, this green one, because it actually, from a losing, pre-market open, right, or the opening, it actually ramped all the way up and closed here, right? So it actually regained some ground. But unfortunately, last Friday again, another scare. And today, as I mentioned to you, if you check on the futures, and if you look at the pre-market, it's quite similar, right? It's going to be a green again. But what we are unsure of is that whether the market, the bull is going to be is sustainable for tonight, right? So pre-market, we see that it's going to be rather good night tonight rather than last Friday. But we can never tell, because that actually signifies only the market open, right? We cannot tell until the market closes. So let's see, right? If tonight, if the market actually fails to actually stay above 320, then I'll probably say that that's probably a start of a trend change, yeah. But before that, I wouldn't actually call it anything yet. Although last Friday it was actually quite steep, right? So if you look at the candle, it's actually going down very badly, right? So if you cross-check with Nasdaq, it's also not as great. Right, so this is Nasdaq. So Nasdaq is also not as great. If you look at it, you know there's a long red candle. Red means it's actually a losing day, right? From opening top here, closing down here, right? So it's a long losing day. It's not looking at that great anyway. But comparing Nasdaq and Standard and Poor 500, right? Nasdaq is still much stronger, right? If you look at the chart trend, right? Comparing SPY and QQQ, this is actually stronger. So my take, okay, until the market has really shown a real continuous fear. Now typically a continuous several day of this kind of drop, right, continuous red candle all the way is it kind of like sustained sell-off, right? That really signifies that there's a huge scare, things are really not going well. Now if you ask me now, it may just be a scare. It's uncertainty that people are worried about, right? So let's watch the market, right? And again, we'll actually talk more about it. You got to ask yourself whether you are an investor or you are a trader, right? If you are a trader like me as well, I'm both an investor and a trader. But if you behave like a trader, it's still not the time for you to start shorting or anything or get all freaked out. Yeah, you may actually start lessening or lightening your existing position, right? So close some of your long positions if you have, right? If you are still very heavy on long positions, just close some of the positions that are not really doing that well, right? But it's not all scary where people start selling off anyway, right? But look at the chart. I mean, it's not really that awful yet, right? So typically with this kind of pandemic type scare, market doesn't actually have a sustained continuous downtrend or continuous red candle, right? So if you look at it, as I mentioned, it's gonna be one green, one red, one green, one green, one red, right? So today, the pre-market or before the market is open, it's gonna be green, yeah. So let's see if after tonight, right, after the close of today's US market, whether it ends up with a green or it's a red, and how big the candle is, right? Then we can really tell whether this is actually doing well or it's not doing well. So I'm not about to really follow all the scare in the market that the market is tumbling. It's not. Okay, just based on the chart itself, it's not. But we got to start being cautious because we really don't know how big this will be. All right.